Let's jump right in. Welcome to The Explainer. Today, we're cutting straight through the noise and the buzzwords surrounding sound therapy. We're going to demystify healing frequencies using nothing but hard facts and direct evidence from the source material. So if you've ever found yourself wondering what's actually happening under the hood when you listen to one of these tracks, you are exactly in the right place. Let's get to it. Look around online for a minute and you'll see this massive, really massive wave of popularity for healing frequencies. But, it brings up a pretty huge question. Can sound literally reshape our brainwaves? Can an invisible auditory frequency actually reach inside your skull and change the way your neurons fire? Okay, let's dive into this because right now, hop onto platforms like YouTube or Spotify and you'll find tens of thousands of audio tracks claiming to do exactly that. The comment sections, they're totally flooded with testimonials just like this one, with millions of listeners swearing that these tracks cure their anxiety, boost their focus, and basically fundamentally shift their mental states. But we really need to figure out what's actually happening here. To find out, here's our roadmap for today. First, the sound of wellness. Then, understanding your brainwaves. Third, binaural beats versus isochronic tones. Fourth, engineering the perfect sleep. And finally, the missing link, your brain. Section 1. The sound of wellness and the morning rituals. Let's look objectively at the specific wellness claims surrounding sound healing. In the wellness community, two specific frequencies really reign supreme. On one side, you've got 432 Hz. This is widely referred to as the universal frequency. It's believed to resonate with the natural vibration of the earth, promoting grounding, calm, and stability. Then, on the flip side, there's 528 Hz, which is often called the love frequency. Practitioners use this tone with the belief that it aids in transformation, cellular repair, and heart-centered healing. Now, these frequencies form the absolute foundation of lots of popular morning rituals. The goal here is to capitalize on the fact that right after you wake up, your brain naturally lingers in these really relaxed theta and alpha states. By using tools like crystal singing bowls or tuning forks, practitioners aim to activate the vagus nerve for emotional balance and, gently support the body's natural morning cortisol boost. It's really all about setting a centered, intentional foundation for the day before the stress of the morning commute rushes in. Moving right along to Section 2, Understanding Your Brainwaves and the Science of Entrainment. So what happens if we shift gears from holistic wellness routines over to the hard science of the brain? And this brilliantly illustrates how, right now, roughly 86 billion neurons in your brain are firing electrical signals. When they fire in sync, we get these specific bands. We're talking delta for deep sleep, theta for light meditation, alpha for relaxed wakefulness, beta for active concentration, going all the way up to gamma for peak focus. The core theory of sound therapy is that if you can expose the brain to an external rhythm, you can actually coax your brainwaves to match that exact rhythm. Which brings us to a phenomenon called the frequency following response. This is the big aha moment behind incredibly popular binaural beats. A binaural beat is, actually, an auditory illusion. Listen to this. If you play a 200 Hz tone in your left ear and say a 210 Hz tone in your right ear, your brainstem, specifically a part called the superior olivary complex, computes the difference. It literally generates a phantom 10 Hz beat inside your head, a beat that doesn't even exist in the physical world. Pretty wild, right? Up next, Section 3, Binaural beats versus isochronic tones and the mechanics of sound. Now, what's really interesting about this is that binaural beats aren't the only option out there, and the mechanics between the two main methods are completely different. Binaural beats are that brainstem illusion we just talked about, and because they require a different frequency in each ear, you absolutely have to wear headphones. Isochronic tones, however, are a single tone physically turning on and off at a target frequency. It's a real physical pulse that directly hits your auditory cortex. And because it's just a single physical rhythm, no headphones are required at all. But here is the massive trade-off that users face. Because isochronic tones literally pulse on and off, kind of like a rapid buzzing or clicking, studies show they create much stronger entrainment in the brain's cortex. But that sharp pulsing, it can feel a bit like listening to a broken robot. It can be really harsh and super distracting. Binaural beats, on the other hand, well, they're a gentle, subtle illusion that you can easily layer beneath relaxing music. They sound absolutely beautiful, but neurologically speaking, their entrainment effect is much weaker. All right, Section 4, Engineering the Perfect Sleep and the PMC Protocol. So how are clinical researchers actually applying this science to fix real-world problems? Well, they're using these frequencies to try and entrain a full natural night of sleep for people dealing with insomnia. But you can't just play one single frequency all night long. This protocol maps auditory tones directly to a healthy sleep hypnogram. It starts by phasing alpha down to theta to induce sleep. Then, at the 30-minute mark, it brings in delta for deep sleep. At 90 minutes, it actually halts the beats entirely to allow for a REM cycle, before finally using beta waves 8 hours later to gently wake the person up. The absolutely crucial point here is that continuous beats do not work for healthy sleep. If you just blast a deep sleep delta tone for 8 hours straight, you are actively fighting the brain's natural architecture. The audio track must strategically pause at 90-minute intervals, so your brain can enter its natural, rapid eye movement dream state completely undisturbed. It's all about guiding the brain, not trapping it. Which brings us to our final part, Section 5, the missing link, your brain. Let's move on and see how this builds, because when we actually measure who responds to these tracks, a fascinating picture of individual neurology emerges. In a really detailed 2019 study out of Salzburg involving high-density EEG, researchers looked at who actually synced up to the audio. They found that 65% of participants successfully entrained their brainwaves to isochronic tones, but only about 35% successfully entrained to binaural beats. But hold on, that wasn't even the most surprising finding. The truly wild, I had no idea finding from the study is just a massive paradox. The researchers discovered that your resting brainwave state actually predicts your response, meaning people who naturally produce strong alpha brainwaves respond incredibly well to alpha audio tracks. But the people with weak alpha, the exact people who desperately need the track to help them relax, they were the least likely to respond at all. So it turns out sound therapy just isn't a magic one-size-fits-all pill. Without an EEG, it's essentially an open-loop guessing game, which leaves us with this final thought. What might your own unique brainwaves reveal before you press play on your next audio track? Because while the science of frequencies and entrainment is incredibly promising, true understanding only really happens when we measure rather than guess. Thank you so much for joining me on this explainer. Keep learning, keep questioning, and we'll see you next time.